But is it, Yogendra Yadav, and you've studied this, at the end of the day, now the political weapon, that OBC, if I may use the word, is the ABC of Indian politics? That much of this is the recognition over the last 25 years in particular that the OBCs constitute the bulk of the population, bulk of voters, therefore OBC empowerment is a political weapon. How much of this is genuinely now about social justice when the Marathas or dominant castes are also sought to be included, or the Patidars or the Jats in OBC reservations?
Rajdeep, the first point to be noted is that we are dealing with a settled policy in the country. This is a policy which has constitutional protection, which has been okayed by the Supreme Court of India, and on which you have political consensus. Why do we have political consensus? You are right. Most of the things happen in politics. When politicians say that they want to do something for farmers, it is not because their heart beats for them, but because they want to get their votes. When someone says, I want to protect women, it could just be that you want to get women's votes. So there's nothing wrong with that. To my mind, the amazing thing is that every time any discussion on reservation begins, this country wants to go back to point zero. And certainly, I mean, I should not say this country, but the opinion-making class of this country wants to go back to point zero and reinitiate the entire discussion because there's so much unease with the basic fact of reservation. The simple point, as Kancha Elaya pointed out, and I'm very happy that RSS has acknowledged it finally. Finally, they have agreed that as long as you have deep inherited social inequalities, which are along the lines of caste, you need several instruments. My problem with reservation is that it becomes the only instrument. We need so many more instruments to do away with inequality. And for once, I would actually agree with Mohandas Pai. I think he made very sensible points. On the data that he has given, I take it that his intention was to say that without reservation, we would not have had so many Dalits, so many Adivasis in our higher education institutions. And I'm very happy that he recognized Muslim exclusion. And I would be extremely happy if he were to then come up with a mechanism through which it can be improved. In the case of OBCs, let us remember, we are dealing with a section of population which is at least 44 to 45% of India's overall share. It's not 52 as people mythically claim, it's about 45 or so. And for this section, you have 27% reservation. How could someone take exception to that? I'm astonished with the kind of reasoning that goes on. So you have 16% Dalits of this country who have 16% positions reserved for them, and they actually don't manage to get 16%. As we have looked at all the records, every record shows that reservations are not filled, that they actually end up with less than 16. 8% are the OBCs end up with 4 to 5%, and 45% OBCs end up, their quota is 27%. And Rajdeep, the only category, we must remember this one simple fact, the only category that today has no reservation whatsoever, that is to say, those who are not SC, not ST, not OBC, and not economically weak by Government of India's definition, that is less than 10% of India's population. And they have 40% seats open to them. What are we cribbing about?